So today I'm joined by Harriet from Sparks Ellison. Harriet, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, we're here today to talk about your experience with one particular supplier, which is Propoly. Um, Tell us what life was like before Propoly. What was your process before they came on board?
So before Properly, everything was sort of done manually, in a way that we'd obviously have to input all the information to the tenancy agreements, to all the referencing and everything, and the invoicing separately, sending all the documents that the tenants need separately. So there's obviously lots of different emails that sort of went out to potential tenants and applicants. So it was a bit of a sort of lengthy process,
And
really.
and and there's lots of stuff sort of floating about separately, if you like, that really important to sort of document and have held in one
Yeah.
place would make sense, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, because obviously, with all the legal documents that you need to make sure that tenants receive, making sure that you've got everything all under one roof, sent out, and made sure that they've received it.
So in terms of it gives you and your team, I suppose, a bit more control over where the documents are, whether they've been signed, whether they've been received and acknowledged before a tenancy starts.
Yeah.
But would you say that in addition to that, what it's given you back is probably a lot of time?
Time. Yeah, I was definitely going to say it's. I'm mainly the person. We don't have a very big lettings team here. It's just there's two of us, so it's mainly myself that's been using Properly, and yeah, it does save a lot of time. To be honest with you.
Well, my next question was going to be, how did the team take to it? But since
Yeah.
there's only two of you, so how have you both been getting along with it? And how easy is it to sort of start to learn a new system and a new way of doing things? Because I know that if it's always been done one way, it can
Yeah.
always sometimes be difficult.
So a little bit easier for me because say I've only been with the business for nearly sort of coming up 6 months.
Yeah,
So we've only been using this maybe sort of 2 to 3 months. So from my point of view, it's kind of been the first program that I've used since working at Sparks Ellison. So from that point of view, for me, I've taken to it relatively easily because I sort of didn't know any different from the processes that were here before. I know that my colleague may say slightly different because once you are set doing what you're doing all day every day and then something comes in and changes it, there's a few little hiccups that we found, but they've been really good at feedback and getting back to us about any sort of problems that we have encountered.
so in terms of that ongoing customer service, there's a team that you can sort of tap into
There is.
questions, and I suppose if time's of the essence, are they fairly quick at coming back to you?
They are, yes. If I'm actually on properly, like trying to load on a tenancy or trying to do a renewal, you get a little a help box at the side. So you can either obviously go on there and find like the questions, or you can type a message to them and they usually respond within 10 minutes.
That's fantastic. So obviously it's given you guys lots of time to do other things, and I know that in property management there's always going to be things
Yeah.
to do.
Lots of burst pipes and broken boilers.
Yeah, lots of exciting stuff like that. But in terms of whether or not you would recommend Properly to somebody who wasn't your direct competitor,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I found it very easy to use. As I say, everything's all under one roof. They send out all the emails that you need to the tenants with all the documents, as long as we're uploading everything that we're asked to do. I mean, it does obviously prompt you. You need your EPC, you need your EICR, you need your gas safety certificate. So obviously prompts you for those main important documents, which is great. And it does all the prescribed information. So as long as we remember to upload, obviously, deposit certificate, we have other little bits as well, like a condensation leaflet, which we need to advise on tenants on. So as long as we're putting all the information into the system correctly, then it does seem to work correctly. It's only as good as the information we put in, basically.
fantastic. And in terms of feedback from tenants, I mean, if tenants, very often we don't ask tenants for their feedback on how the software was, but
No.
they're the end beneficiaries, aren't they?
Yeah. So I actually have gone back to a few tenants and landlords myself when we first started using it, just to see what their feedback was. Most people say it's relatively easy to use. A few maybe downside is that they get quite a few chaser emails, reminder emails. So one of our tenants wasn't happy with the amount of emails they were getting if they didn't do the next step quick enough properly. So they felt a little bit pressured. But the main feedback has been positive, quite simple to use.
That's excellent. Harriet, I know you're busy. I'm going to let you get back to all of that property management, the burst pipes and the boilers and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
But also those pleased tenants as well. So thank you very much for talking to us about Propoly.
No problem at all. All right, thanks for your time.